You ever pull an onion out of the ground about the size of a golf ball and just stand there holding it, wondering what you did wrong? I've had folks tell me they spent $11 on a bag of sets in March, babied them all summer, and pulled up onions smaller than the ones they started with. That's not luck gone bad. That's not a bad year. That's a piece of knowledge that just quietly disappeared somewhere along the way. And it's not your fault nobody ever handed it down to you. My name's Everett, and I grew up on land my grandfather cleared by hand, out past the last paved road in the county. He didn't have raised beds shipped in cedar boxes. He had what was laying around, and more often than not, that meant old tires. There's 7 things he always did with a tire and a handful of onion sets, and by the end of this video, you'll know every one of them. The cost made concrete. Store-bought onions are bred to travel, not to taste like much. A lot of them are picked before they're really done growing, which is part of why they go soft in your pantry inside 2 weeks. When you grow your own and grow them right, you get onions that keep for months, not days. That's real grocery money back in your pocket every single week, not just once. Here's the thing nobody tells you. A tire isn't a workaround. It's actually better than plain ground for onions in a lot of ways, and I think the only reason folks don't know that anymore is because nobody's selling tires as garden equipment. Farm stores sell you raised bed kits for $80. Nobody's putting an old tire on a shelf with a price tag, so nobody talks about it. That's knowledge that got lost to convenience, not knowledge that stopped working. I learned this standing next to my grandfather, not reading it off a package. He grew onions the size of softballs and tires stacked behind the chicken coop for 60 years without a single greenhouse or grow light. This is the way I still do it today, on the same piece of land. There's 7 things that make the difference between a golf ball onion and a softball onion, and I'm going to walk you through all 7, start to finish. I've also got a short printable checklist with these steps written out. If you want something to keep by the shed, links down below, no charge for it. A tire isn't just a container. Black rubber pulls in heat from the sun and holds on to it. That means the soil inside a tire warms up faster in early spring than the ground around it does. Onions like to get their roots going while it's still cool outside, but they don't like ice-cold, soggy dirt. A tire gives you a head start of a week or 2 over planting straight in the ground, just from that dark rubber soaking up the sun. Why this works? Dark colors absorb heat instead of bouncing it back. Kind of like how a black car gets hotter inside than a white one on the same sunny day. That warmth moves down into the soil. Do this. Set your tire out a week before you plan to plant so the soil inside has time to warm up. Skip that. Don't plant straight into cold ground in early spring and expect the same results. You'll lose that head start. Before anything goes in that tire, clean it out. Hose off any grit, oil film, or old gravel stuck in the tread. Set it where you want it to stay, because once it's full of dirt, it's heavy and hard to move. Cut or drill a few extra holes low on the inside wall if the tire doesn't already drain well. Standing water is the #1 killer of onion roots, more than cold, more than almost anything else. Why this works? Onions need air around their roots as much as they need water. Roots sitting in a puddle can't breathe, and they start to rot from the bottom up. Do this. Check that water runs through and out within a few minutes when you pour a bucket in. Skip that. Don't plant in a tire that holds standing water for hours. Fix the drainage first. Don't just scoop dirt from the yard and dump it in. Onions want loose, crumbly soil, not heavy clay that packs down hard. Mix your regular garden dirt, about half and half, with compost or well-rotted manure, and toss in a handful of sand if your dirt's on the clay-heavy side. Why this works? Onion bulbs grow sideways as much as down. If the dirt's packed tight, that bulb hits resistance and stays small, the same way a foot in a tight boot stays cramped. Do this. Squeeze a handful of your mix. It should crumble apart easily, not hold a hard clump. Skip that. Don't fill the tire with straight yard clay and expect the bulbs to push through it. This is where most folks go wrong without even knowing it. They plant onion sets close together like they're planting grass seed. Onions need real space, about 4 to 6 inches between each set, all the way around the inside of the tire. Why this works? 2 onions planted too close will fight over the same patch of soil and the same drink of water. Neither one gets enough, so both end up small, the way two people can't both stretch out in one twin bed. Do this. Space your sets a hand's width apart, root end down, just barely covered with soil. Skip that. Don't crowd them in tight rings to get more in. You'll end up with less, not more. Here's the trick my grandfather swore by. Once your first tire's filled and planted, set a second tire right on top of it before the greens get too tall, and fill that one with the same dirt mix, right up around the base of the plants. That gives the roots a good foot or more of loose soil to stretch down into instead of hitting hard ground a few inches below. Why this works? Bigger bulbs need room below the surface, not just space to the sides. A stacked tire gives the root system a deep, soft bed instead of a shallow one. Do this. Stack a second tire within the first couple weeks, while plants are still short enough to handle the extra soil around their stems. Skip that. Don't wait until the greens are tall and floppy. You'll bury and smother them instead of helping them. A tire dries out faster than open ground because the black rubber holds heat, and heat pulls moisture out of soil quicker. That means you'll water more often than you would for a regular in-ground bed, but you still don't want it soggy. A good rule: stick a finger down 2 knuckles deep. If it's dry there, water. If it's still damp, wait a day. Why this works? Onions have shallow roots that dry out fast, but they rot just as fast if they sit wet. The finger check keeps you right in that middle ground. Do this. Check soil moisture every couple of days once the weather warms up, especially in a tire. Skip that. Don't water on a fixed schedule no matter what. Check the dirt first, every time. Don't just guess by the calendar. Onions tell you when they're done if you know what to look for. The green tops will start to flop over and turn yellow-brown at the base, all on their own, usually starting with the biggest bulbs first. When you see about half the tops falling over in your tire, that's your window, not a set day on a calendar. Why this works? The plant's putting all its energy down into the bulb at that point instead of up into the leaves, which is exactly what you want before you pull it. Do this. Watch for tops flopping and yellowing, then pull within a few days of that happening. Skip that. Don't pull onions early just because they look big enough. You're cutting the bulb's biggest growth spurt short. Once you've got the watering figured out, the last piece is just patience, because knowing when to pull is honestly where I see people rush the most. The why this got lost turn. I think about this a lot. Big farms grow onions in flat, open fields with machines that need everything spaced the exact same way, in soil that's chemically balanced by a lab, not built by hand. None of that translates into use what you've got behind the shed. It's not that anybody's hiding this. It just doesn't fit into how food gets grown at scale anymore. And when the grocery store's always got a bag of onions for a couple dollars, there's no reason for anybody to write this stuff down and pass it along. It just fades out one generation at a time until somebody like you pulls a golf ball onion out of the ground and wonders what happened. Recap. So here's the whole thing, quick. A tire warms the soil faster than open ground. Clean it and fix the drainage before you plant. Mix loose soil with real compost, not stiff clay. Space your sets a hand's width apart. Stack a second tire early on for real depth. Water by feel, not by schedule. And wait for the tops to flop before you pull. 7 things, and every one of them came straight off my grandfather's land. If you've got a tire sitting around right now, this weekend's the time to set it up, clean it, drill your drainage holes, and get your soil mixed before your onion sets even show up. Don't wait for someday, because that head start on warming the soil only counts if you start early. I'd love to know, is there a variety of onion your family always swore by? Some kind of local one, or one your grandmother wouldn't plant anything else beside? Drop it in the comments. I read every one. Picture this a few months from now. Pulling an onion out of that tire, the size of a softball, walking it over to whoever in your family said that old tire's not going to grow anything, and just setting it down in front of them without a word. And if you want that printable checklist with these 7 steps written out plain, so you're not trying to remember all this standing out by the shed, it's linked below, free, no strings. Next time I'm going to show you the same trick with old tires stacked 3 high for growing potatoes deep enough that you barely have to dig, just tip the tire over and they roll right out. I'll see you there.